What's up, everybody? Joe Brown here. This is the Heresy Financial Show, and Fidelity is now going to be offering Bitcoin to its investors in their 401k plan for the first time. This marks the first 401k that will allow Bitcoin as one of their investment options. And given the size of Fidelity, many people are wondering, is this going to move the needle? Is this going to open the floodgates to a massive surge of retail money coming in and buying Bitcoin, sending up to new all-time highs? Or is this a big bag of nothing news? Ready? Let's dive in. Today's episode is sponsored by Swan Bitcoin. Swan Bitcoin is the easiest, cheapest, and most secure way to stack sats to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. I use them to buy Bitcoin literally every single day, and I have it auto withdrawn to a wallet of my choice. They do one thing, focus on one thing, and they do it very well. No selling, no other cryptocurrencies, just buying Bitcoin, and they do it extremely well. And if you would like to get $10 worth of Bitcoin for free just for signing up, use my link in the description below. All right, so Fidelity is now going to be offering Bitcoin as an investment choice to its investors that are a part of a 401k plan custodied by Fidelity. So what are the details here? Is this going to move the needle? Does this matter at all? Well, first we have to take a look at exactly who has access to Bitcoin, and it is 401k investors, but there's a catch. The way that these 401k plans work is that it is up to the employers. So the crypto offering is available for 23,000 employers. But just like you have experienced with any job you've ever had, you go and you sign up for your 401k plan. Most likely it was either Vanguard or Schwab or Fidelity that you signed up for your plan with. And you're just given the list of options that the employer has chosen. Many times it is a very short list of substandard and very expensive mutual funds. Now, the plans have been getting better over the years. Many employers now offer Roth options with the 401ks. Many 401ks offer self-directed plans within the 401k, so you can use that to invest in stocks and sometimes even options, all under the banner of your employer-sponsored 401k. So things are getting better, but it is still up to the employer, and many employers are still not allowing those options that give investors, give their employees better freedom and better opportunity. So when you take a look and see that 23,000 employers use Fidelity to custody their 401ks, and that there are $11.3 trillion in assets under administration at Fidelity with their retirement plans, we see that and look at that and think, man, that is a massive number. This is a huge potential because employers are going to be placing a ceiling on the amount that is going to be able to be earmarked for Bitcoin, and the maximum cap is expected to be no more than 20%. But 20% of $11 trillion is still a decent chunk of change. But we have to ask ourselves, how many of these employers, number one, are going to be on the forefront of this move and go out there on a limb and say, hey, you guys all have access to Bitcoin now, and then how many are going to increase that maximum all the way to that 20% of an investor's allocation? Probably not many. Now, one obviously is going to be on the forefront of this, and this is no surprise. We are seeing MicroStrategy, MSTR. They have already signed up for the plan, and that's no surprise because Michael Saylor is the CEO and the founder of MicroStrategy, and Michael Saylor is famously probably the biggest fan of Bitcoin out there, the biggest public fan of Bitcoin, and is famous for his hot takes on Bitcoin, has always been publicly appearing, CNBC getting into debates with people like Peter Schiff about Bitcoin, and so clearly he is going to have this option available for his employees since he's got his own corporate treasury money in Bitcoin and his own personal fortune in Bitcoin as well. MicroStrategy keeps their retirement plan with Fidelity, and so this is going to be available to all MicroStrategy employees who invest in their 401k plans with Fidelity. However, they are the exception. They are not going to be the rule. With thousands and thousands of companies that are looked at and they're saying, hey, we want to make sure that we give options that are available to our employees that are going to be good investment options, but we don't want to stray too far from what everybody else is doing, because if we allow a new option and then it turns out to go down in price a lot, to tank, we don't want to be subject to a lawsuit. We don't want people coming after us for not exercising our fiduciary duties. And so many employers will be very hesitant to allow this. very hesitant to allow it up to the 20% max cap, and even the ones that do. An individual is still going to have to go into their account and then allocate some of their existing retirement account, and then they'll either allocate some of their existing funds that are already in there, or they'll just say, of the new money going in, this is how I wanted to invest it. So all of these variables added on top of each other. Number one, the employer itself has to add it as the option. Number two, they have to set a max cap. Number three, the employee then has to go in and make a change to either their existing allocation or their future allocations. All of this means that there are probably not going to be that many dollars rushing, stampeding into Bitcoin as a result of Fidelity offering as a choice. However, as time goes on, this will increase buying pressure. So this will open up the doors for a small trickle to start coming in as more and more people sign up. If it becomes maybe a standard option, as more people become aware of Bitcoin, this is something that will increase buying pressure long term, become more popular long term as more and more plan sponsors like Fidelity or Charles Schwab and Vanguard, if other companies that hold lots of 401k plans want to stay competitive and they don't want to lose potential employer plans over to a company like Fidelity, they're going to adopt these options as well. And so long term, this does have the potential to bring in a decent amount of retail money, but it's not going to be a floodgate thing. It's not going to be a stampede thing. You're not going to see a ton of money rushing into Bitcoin as a result of just this move. And the final reason why I don't think this is going to send Bitcoin to the moon is because many people don't keep all of their retirement assets within their 401k. Every single time you change jobs, you have to go and remember to take your old 401k and do something with it. You either take it and roll it into your new 401k, or you're going to put it into a self-directed account like an IRA. Most people who even think of, well, most people just leave it behind. And so you get 10, 15 years into your career, you've got 4 or 5 401ks out there with all these different plan sponsors out there, and you don't know where they are, what they're invested in, and it takes a lot of work to go and call everybody up, track down your accounts, and consolidate them all into one. But the people who do pay attention to this and do track them down, most of the time they're not taking those old 401ks and rolling them into their new 401k. They're putting them into an IRA that gives investors much more flexibility with how it is invested. And so these changes that Fidelity is making apply only to the employer-sponsored plans, the 401ks. So you don't have a massive amount of buy-in from the most active investors there are, the ones that are putting their money into IRAs. That money is the majority of those people's money is going to be in an IRA. It's not going to be in their new plans. And so these new plans that people are going to be signing up for Bitcoin, probably the majority of them don't have the majority of those people's funds. And if they are interested in Bitcoin, they may already have a decent allocation to Bitcoin through self-directed IRAs that give you access to Bitcoin, because those have existed for quite a while. All right, and finally, I would like to make a really short note about the intrinsic value of Bitcoin, because I know I've got a lot of viewers on this channel who absolutely hate Bitcoin. And if you approach something and say nothing could ever change my mind about it, it's possible that you might miss out on something long term, might miss out on a good opportunity. The one argument that many people use to say Bitcoin is going to zero is that it has no intrinsic value because it has no use case outside of being used as money. Now we have to take a moment here and separate Bitcoin as payment network from Bitcoin as a currency unit, because it is both of those things. It's just smushed together into one. Bitcoin as a payments network is something that does have real world value. Think of Visa, think of PayPal, think of Venmo, think of the Cash App, think of all these payments networks that operate just transferring money. They're money transfer systems. Now, most of these don't use their own currency unit. They use the dollar or other currencies. But they are payment processors. They are payment networks where you can send money back and forth to people. Now, these have value as is very evident in looking at their stock prices, looking at their value of all the people buying and selling these, saying, hey, this is a service, this is a technology that allows money to go back and forth. That as a payment network, because of all the people using it, has value. So you can look at Bitcoin like that because it is a payment network. It is a technology that people use to send money back and forth to each other. It just happens to use its own currency instead of another currency like the dollar. The second note about intrinsic value is that nothing has intrinsic value. All value is not objective. All value is subjective. And so there is nothing in this universe that has objective or intrinsic value. All value comes from individuals deciding that they want something more than something else. So there is no such thing as intrinsic value. If there was, you wouldn't have an ordinal or a ranked list of wants and values. So when you go to the grocery store, sometimes you'll see there's a sale. You'll say, hey, this pizza's on sale. I can get it for 50% off. So you might put 2 of them in your cart, and before you maybe only would put 1 in your cart. Maybe you put 10 in your cart because it's a really good deal and you eat that pizza all the time and you want to load up on it. But you're not going to put 1,000 of them in your cart. You're not going to put 10,000 of them in your cart because at some point that value changes for you. You'd rather have those extra dollars than those extra pizzas. So this value is not intrinsic or objective. The value that you place on that pizza is completely subjective. And at a certain point, once you have enough pizza, that extra dollar becomes more valuable to you than the pizza. So value is subjective, not objective. There's no such thing as intrinsic value. Value is put onto things by people's subjective wants and needs all throughout the day, every day, all throughout the entire world. And so there's no such thing as objective value. Hope that helps. I'd be happy to make a dedicated video on that topic. Let me know in the description or in the comments if you'd like to see that. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.